The army you will never see empires fall when silence becomes stronger than noise. And that is what this secret army represents. They do not speak at rallies. They do not post on social media, but they hold the line. When everyone else runs. Maybe, just maybe, because of their sacrifice, Traoré will be the first African leader who dares to rise and survive. So the next time you hear about Burkina Faso, do not just look at Traoré. Look behind him, because the men in the shadows may just be the reason the revolution does not die. Ibrahim Traoré did not inherit power. He took it with purpose in September 2022. He led a daring coup against the previous military regime, one that had already ousted a civilian president only months before. Burkina Faso had become a nation, ruled by fatigue, its people exhausted by years of violence, jihadist attacks, and broken promises. But Traoré's coup felt different. He did not storm in with mercenaries or foreign backing. He walked in with men from the front lines. These were not elite generals in polished boots. They were battle-worn fighters from the Sahel, field officers, scouts, ambush units, survivors of desert skirmishes and forest ambush. Some had fought beside Traoré for years. They watched him lead without hiding behind ranks. He fought. He bled. He buried his comrades with his own hands dotting the dust of those battles. A brotherhood was forged, a bond deeper than politics, stronger than salary, and unbreakable by threats. That is why when he called for the coup, they came, not for power, but for protection, for something sacred. The existence of Traoré's inner circle is not publicized, but those close to the ground know it exists. They are sometimes referred to as the Dust Walkers. Others call them simply the Shield. Their recruitment does not follow military bureaucracy. There is no open application, no exam. Members are handpicked based on field loyalty, background scrutiny, and silent evaluation. Training takes place in undisclosed areas. Abandoned colonial bases. Mountain ranges unreachable by road-dotted tactics. They learn are a hybrid of Russian, Israeli, and native guerrilla styles. Urban disruption, covert extraction, anti-drone camouflage, wilderness survival, counterintelligence drills. But above all, they are taught one rule: trust no one. Even within their unit, communication is limited. Each fighter knows their duty, but not everyone else's. Names are rarely shared, only code words. They are trained to disappear, to reappear, to blend in with villagers, to strike like phantoms, and to never ever speak to outsiders. It is said that each one signs an oath to die before betrayal. To call them a bodyguard unit would be an insult. Their job is not just to protect Traoré's body. It is to protect the idea of Traoré. They do more than prevent a bullet or a betrayal. They are the guardians of a vision that threatens an empire. What Traoré stands for is not just sovereignty. It is a rebirth. He speaks openly about reclaiming Burkina Faso's gold, about removing French control from African soil, about resisting IMF chains, and building a Pan-African alliance free from colonial fingerprints. These words are not policies. They are fire. And fire attracts enemies to shield this fire from being extinguished. Traoré needs a wall, not a bricks, but a man who understand that protecting him is protecting the symbol. Because when he stands on a podium, he is not just a soldier. He is the echo of every African leader's silence before him. These men know the pattern. They have memorized the history. Patrice Lumumba, poisoned and mutilated. Thomas Sankara, gunned down by his own comrade. Muammar Gaddafi, hunted like an animal. These were not just men. They were ideas in human form. And when those men fell, the ideas were paused, delayed, sometimes forgotten. The shield around Traoré refuses to let that happen again. They know he is not invincible, but they also know his death would send a message that resistance still leads to a grave, and so their protection is not ceremonial. It is ideological. It is generational. They carry the memory of Sankara's unfinished revolution. They carry the burden of Lumumba's silenced voice. They carry the rage of Gaddafi's humiliation. And they are ready to fight so that this time, the revolution does not end in betrayal. It continues. It multiplies. Their mission is not to keep Traoré alive for power. It is to keep the idea of African freedom alive by any means necessary. Burkina Faso is not only fighting terrorism, it is now fighting surveillance. The capital, Ouagadougou, is flooded with international NGOs, foreign journalists, humanitarian delegations, and consultants. But not all of them are who they claim to be. Some carry cameras, others carry microphones, but a few carry something more dangerous: coordinates. Foreign embassies send envoys with smiles by day, but at night, encrypted messages leave through satellites, cables, or hand-delivered hard drives. What looks like aid is often espionage. The Shield knows this. They have watched it happen before. This is how Sankara was isolated. This is how Gaddafi was trapped. They have responded with their own intelligence cells, cyber units that break into foreign databases, street watchers who monitor embassy traffic double, agents who report on suspicious liaisons. They run decoy operations, fake travel plans, false meeting times. Multiple convoys sent out simultaneously. Traoré changes phones frequently. His voice calls are distorted with audio masks. Even the water he drinks is tested 3 times by separate units. There is no routine, because the first routine becomes the last. Recently, a French magazine hinted at a foreign plot to remove Traoré. No evidence, no proof. But in Africa, assassination rarely comes with a headline. It comes with silence. The Shield understands this terrain. They study patterns. They track foreign movement. They anticipate betrayal. Because in their world, the bullet always arrives before the press release. Why do they do it? Why do men risk their lives for a cause that may never reward them? Because to them, death is not the enemy. It is the price. These men live in shadows. They rotate across safe houses, bunkers, and jungle zones. They never sleep in the same bed twice. They do not keep phones. They do not visit families. Each member carries a sealed envelope. Inside is their final will, their final words. Some have young children who do not even know their fathers are alive. Some were once students, poets, farmers. All of them chose to vanish. There are documented cases of fighters stepping in front of bullets for Traoré. One such man was hit in the chest during an ambush and died instantly. His name was never released to the media. Only a shallow grave marks his story. Others went undercover and never returned. No rescue, no recovery, only silence. They are not remembered with medals or national parades. They are remembered in code, a mark on a wall, a story whispered at night, because in their world, survival is not the goal. The mission is, and the mission is Africa's liberation. The army. You will never see empires fall when silence becomes stronger than noise. And that is what this secret army represents. They do not speak at rallies. They do not post on social media, but they hold the line when everyone else runs. Maybe, just maybe, because of their sacrifice, Traoré will be the first African leader who dares to rise and survive. So the next time you hear about Burkina Faso, do not just look at Traoré. Look behind him, because the men in the shadows may just be the reason the revolution does not die.